Again. I was about to explain the past life scenario my mind brought up, and I just find it very interesting what we can learn from the past lives. So I couldn't record everything yesterday because I was running out of memory and I still had to upload the videos and put them online while I was making the new ones. And I, by accident, even deleted one of the videos, which is not that bad, but it's okay. I realized that in the last video before this one was actually more calm, and my sentences were making sense. I wasn't jumping, I wasn't stopping, but making a point, and then sort of halfway jumping to the next topic or something. Is that really the case? I don't know. So there seems to be a reason for this, maybe because I saw it as not as important. Also, I had just not been spontaneously speaking, so I was talking about a video I'd already made. So I might really do this. I'll summarize everything I said in the videos before and not spontaneously go with what I'm working with in the mind. The past life is very interesting because it speaks about... Is that working? Because it's sort of like, it's fractured, the video. Man, that phone. I got a used phone. Anyway, the past life is super interesting because I was talking to that friend, and she was in a city and we were fighting also once. I have that memory, but she was a friend of mine. She would train me to fight, but I wasn't that fond of it, and she was better than me, and she would defeat me once. I mean, she wouldn't kill me or anything, but she would be someone who is... she was teaching me and then just like going with the sword to where I would be hit. Like she wouldn't really hit me, which still sounds dangerous, but she was in control of that. And she didn't it was more like it was a symbolic fight, and it was not a very sharp blade or anything. She would just like go towards the side. And she was showing her strength to other people as well in the place, because she said back then there was no internet, so not everything was on screen, so she could, as a woman, just be that strong before other people in the village. And the village was rather interesting because I looked up the historical context, and they wouldn't recognize the official king here for quite some time. They would also ward off the attacks by the Huguenots. I'm really not political about this. I don't know the Huguenots or anything, or I think they were the Protestants that were fighting against the monarchy. And I said that they're not going to win this. At least for my life, I saw that like that. That's what a friend told me. I was talking to her, which gives me then a broader perspective. I can even see instance beyond my own death in that story, or she can tell me about what happened afterwards. So I was in that village, and we were warding off the attacks, maybe because the women also would support the fighting and were even able to carry a sword and stuff. And that's possible. I don't know if that was the exact thing, and I don't know who the non-religious people were. They were the Huguenots. Oh, okay. They were seen as non-religious because they would have the Protestant faith, which is interesting because I grew up in a Protestant area. I also appreciate Protestantism, but I was not fond of this. I was not. I didn't like that they would attack and just try to take over the village. And we had a king here or something, or like there were kings here, and they wouldn't recognize the official king. But then I try to be diplomatic and reduce the damage, or help see to helping the king, because I made good decisions, and he knew that. So he would apparently, I was not perfect or anything, but I had a gift to consult people, and he knew that, and so he wanted me around, and I would be diplomatic and try to prevent him from doing damage, and trying to be more mild. And one example she gave was that for example, there was somebody condemned to death, and it was just because the king was not really aware of it. He was not. She even said he didn't really bother, and the man was in prison about to be executed. And I said, "Let me go to him." And I spoke to him, and then afterwards, eventually, the king said he's not guilty. And then the king said, "Okay," he gets back out. But it was not a big deal. For the king, it was something he would just not really be investing a lot of time in. And I saw this as a service I could make, and the problem was that the opposition saw me as de-establishment. They saw me as establishment, And so they would we would talk. I would still need to ask where we talk, but I would say to them, you get up in the morning. That's what the friend said. You get up in the morning, like you don't pray like real Christians. You get up in the morning and you start drinking, and you shouldn't be that hateful, and you will not win. You will not win this battle, and they didn't. They didn't win the battle, and the friend told me that I also said apparently, or I was convinced that if they would attack me or do stuff like that, they would be defeated by the king, and they were. They were not fully defeated, but quite strongly. In the long run, the history is quite interesting because the monarchy got abolished. Like that was a time. It was about 100 years before the revolution or something like that. So it's rather interesting to see that. And what can I learn about this right now? Oh yeah, so diplomacy is important, but I shouldn't be angry at the opposition, right? So I opted for diplomacy. I opted for that. But then I was not that. I had an anger fit, and I apologized to my friend, and I said that was wrong. That I was that angry, and the lesson I learned is that I always acknowledge the courage of people, and they were courageous. They were courageous. And I didn't see it as such that I was against them. It was more like I was thinking, okay, who's in power, and who's going to win this battle now in the next decades, and what can I do to be diplomatic and help the people who have very difficult lives very often. And I heard that the monarchy was even going bankrupt after the wars. There were a lot of wars going on, especially there was. The scene with the sword was 1672, and that was when she said. And I looked it up, and it was the Dutch War was starting, and that was Spanish, like the Spanish occupied Dutch territory. And France tried to seize that. And the Crusades, I don't know, like probably they talked about something like Crusades, like, because it was religious and they were fighting against the others and they would say the others were wrong or something, and I would opt out of this, but I don't know if it really makes sense. But that was, she said, look up 1672, and 1672 is the Dutch War, and that was under a king who was very powerful, but he lost a lot of stuff, and he bankrupted the country to quite a lot, but he was not to be defeated inward by the resistance, which was the Fronte. Fronte was a Fronte or something, which was the opposition back then, but they were not able to defeat him. And I had the impression that was the case. They could not defeat him. And I was sorry about being so angry and not acknowledging their courage. And I saw their problems, but it was just that I don't know, had issues, and would like say to them that, and I said, I'm not better. Like I also make mistakes. Like I'm not. I like criticized them for stuff that I have not 100% worked out, which is because I was not the perfect person. Would I drink? Oh right. I would drink sometimes, but I would be more like the Art Society person. What does that mean? I would pray, but in my own way. So I shouldn't have been that aggressive in my rhetoric, and say stop being so hateful. I should have said I acknowledge your courage, and this is what I learned, that I see opposition, and I should not say, well, you're bad, you're gonna fail or something, like you don't really pray. And I don't know, they probably pray, and I that's a big question, but I should not judge them like that was wrong. I knew afterwards. I was sorry for it, but I couldn't change it. And they saw me. I couldn't change what had happened. And I got assassinated on the way to I was in a carriage. Horse-drawn carriage or something, towards traveling on a country road, and they would come and they would like really aggressively attack me with an axe. Actually, they could have shot me with arrows or something, but they were like really, really bad. And then what happened? Oh, the king sent military down. So there was military. Was it? Oh, people talked about it. So there was talk about it. That happened, and their own people of the assassinating group, they would even talk about it, like they found it wrong, and then something like it all went loose, and I don't know, and that like the king sent military, and that they were not very good military, but they were a lot. So and that was a big thing, and that's it. That's enough for now.